Welcome to Horticulture and Home. Today we're going to be canning glazed carrots. For about 14 pounds of carrots, or 7 quarts of carrots, I take about 4 cups of brown sugar, 3 cups of orange juice, 3 cups of filtered water, and 9 tablespoons of honey, and create my glaze. The orange juice I use is not reconstituted, and it's quite sweet. You may want to add more sweetener depending on what type of orange juice you will use, and it all depends on the tartness of the orange juice that you use. I mix my ingredients together into a saucepan, and I place this onto the stove and bring it to a simmer, and make sure that all the sugar has dissolved. Now that my glaze is ready, I take 1 quart canning jars and I place my carrots into the jars. I cut them into 3/4 to 3.5 inch lengths, and I place the raw carrots into the jars. I've also cut the carrots vertically so that they're all about even in size. Now I just add my hot glaze to the jars, and I use my canning funnel to help keep the liquid so that it goes into the jar and I don't make a mess. And remember to always use a damp paper towel to wipe the lip of the jar so that a clean seal can occur during processing. Paper towels are pretty sterile, so they're a good thing to use. You don't have to worry about bacteria and things being on those towels. Now I'm looking for my plastic tool to release the air bubbles. I can't find it, so I grab a bamboo chopstick instead and use that. Now I'm going to get my lid and my ring and place it on my jar. Here I'm using a magnetic tool to do that. My lids and rings are in hot water at a low simmer on my stove. They're on a low setting. If you don't have this magnetic tool, go ahead and use a pair of tongs instead. That will work just fine. Always follow your canner directions. Read that manual that comes with your canner if this is new to you. I'm going to show you how I use my canner that has a gauge instead of a canner that has just a weight. Make sure that you always use your metal rack in your pressure canner. You can't set your jars straight down into the canner without using a rack. And make sure that your jars don't touch the sides of the canner. This excess heat can cause your jars to break. Now I'm going to get ready to place my jars into my canner. And you'll notice that there are several inches of water in my canner already. And this is warm water because my jars are cool but my liquid is hot. So I don't want a shock or temperature difference between the two. So I have some tap water that's hot in my canner. And I also add a 1/4 cup or so of vinegar. My canner happens to be an aluminum canner, and adding vinegar will help keep the canner from darkening and keeps the metal nice and shiny. Really depends on what type of water you have as to how low the pH or how high the pH is, and the types of minerals in your water. Now I've placed the lid on my canner, and you can see this little valve raise. That means that the steam has built up in the canner, and you can see from that little vent there that the steam is escaping. Now, according to my canner directions, I have to let this go for 10 minutes. After the steam has been escaping for 10 minutes, I can add this weight. And I've turned my stove onto high to do this. Once I have reached 10 pounds of pressure, and that's the proper pressure that I need for the altitude in which I live, you'll have to check your charts for your area to see what your proper pounds of pressure should be for your altitude. Then I turn my stove down so that I can keep my dial at about 10 pounds of pressure. And this goes on for 30 minutes, and now we're almost done. Now I turn the heat off, and I wait for the pressure to go down in my canner. Once the pressure has gone down, you remove the weight. You should remove the weight first before you try to open the canner. Now, remove the canner lid, and I pulled that off so that the steam would escape and not escape into my face. And this is really hot liquid, so be careful when you go to open that canner. Now I'm going to gently remove my jars and place them on the counter in a draft-free area. I'm going to place my jars onto an old towel because my counter is granite and I don't want the hot jar to come in contact with the cool countertop. After you remove all of your jars, just let them set until they cool completely. I usually let mine set until the following day. It won't take long before you hear the plink of the canner lid as it begins to seal. Sometimes they'll start to seal before I even open the lid of the canner. Now it's the following day and I've removed the rings and I've washed the jars down, I've wiped them down, and I've written with a permanent marker on the top of the jar lid that these are glazed. I can tell they're carats, and the date, the month and year at which I canned these.